Next, I'd like to call up John Morse. His speech is from Effective Coaching Path, L3 or Level 3. Inspire your audience. 5 to 7 minute speech. And the speech title is In the Beginning. Intro. Today we are witnessing thousands, perhaps millions of people fleeing Ukraine for their safety. At the same time, men, women, and children are streaming north from South and Central America for the southern border of the United States in search of the American dream. Their plight gives rise to the question, who are we anyway? Tonight, John Morse explores this question. The title of the speech is In the Beginning. Please help me welcome with our usual lack of passion, Toastmaster John Morse. Okay.
Where are you from, Mr. Toastmaster? Fellow Toastmasters and guests? Are you from New York City? Are you from Peabody, Massachusetts? Were you born in St. Albans, Vermont? Did you grow up in Reading, Massachusetts? Where are you from? We're from all over the country. And in fact, we're from all over the world. Because this is the place where people came. And one thing is certain about that, and that is that we, all of us, can trace our ancestry back to immigration. Back at the turn of the century, I'm talking about the last century, Jenny and Oscar were 20 years old. They picked up a couple of bags. They stuffed all of their clothing and all of the things that they owned in those bags. They put them in the bags and they traveled from Tidaholm, Sweden, to Gothenburg. When they got to Gothenburg, they took a steamer. They weren't first or second class passengers, they were below decks. And when they came to the United States, they were greeted by no one. No one, no family, no friends, no relatives, no sponsors. They just landed here in America. And for the people who came over on first and second class, they had their physical exams completed on board ship. They were determined to be okay to enter the United States. They were ferried to the docks and given an entry visa. Not so with Jenny, not so with Oscar. They had to go through Ellis Island. When they got to Ellis Island, they went to the main reception room and they walked up this huge set of stairs to the second floor. When they got to the second floor, they didn't know it, but a doctor was standing down below. Another doctor was standing at the top of the stairs to watch them. That was their physical examination. Were they physically fit to remain in the United States? Then they went through a series of other exams. Most important was an eye exam because at that time, there was an eye disease that was not curable, and it would later lead to blindness. Those people were segregated. Other people were segregated as well, of course, those with tuberculosis, those with measles, those with other diseases that maybe could be cured. They were sent to the hospital. They were sent to hospitals there right on Ellis Island. They were treated. Those who recovered from their disease, they were allowed to get back and come into the United States. Those with tuberculosis of those with that particular eye disease, they were placed on steamers back, and back they went to Europe, not to be allowed to come to the United States. Jenny and Oscar were in top physical condition. They didn't have any problem going up the stairs. They got here. They got on land in the United States, and they must have said, wow, we're in America. Yeah, that's Swedish for wow, we're in America. Wow, we're in America. What a thrill it was. When they got to the docks, there were a number of industrialists, a number of businessmen who set up booths right there on the dock, and they would look for laborers. They would hire people right there. Some of the people, for example, were experienced in coal mining, and they were sent out to Pennsylvania, some to West Virginia. For the Italians and the Swedes, many of them were attracted to the marble industry. Sure enough, Jenny and Oscar settled in Proctor, Vermont. There they raised 3 children. And they all graduated from college, first generation college graduates. One was an engineer, one was in the insurance industry. The other graduated from college to become a registered nurse. They all did so remarkably well. Oscar and Jenny, they did well too. Oscar learned how to play the accordion all by himself, the squeeze box. He loved to play the squeeze box. Jenny raised a family. She raised hens and chickens, and she learned how to cook on a wood stove. Can you imagine cooking on a wood stove? She did it. She was a master gardener as well. Yes, by now I suspect you know, these people are my grandparents. And they weren't alone. Thousands of people came, and a study taken by the researchers, at the History Channel, determined that 40% of all Americans came through Ellis Island. 40% of the people living here today came through Ellis Island. How remarkable is that? Fast forward to the present, my next door neighbor came from Cuba, brought his family over, brought his parents over, and now he's absolutely successful and doing extremely well. Isn't it interesting? All of these people, don't you think we ought to take into consideration where we came from? Don't you think we ought to take into consideration how we got to where we are? Because in this country, almost every one of us came from immigrants. Toastmasters.
Now, I'm not sure, did we have someone step up to the plate to evaluate John Morse DTM?
I think we're gonna do a round robin.
No, we're going to do a round robin. Let me just preface my question and the round robin evaluation. Oh, I heard this speech before. Was this an entry in the International Speech Contest?
Yeah, it was an entry in the International Speech Contest without being evaluated. So I wanted it to be evaluated so it could count as a halfway speech.
Ah, beautiful. So John wants to get credit for his pathway speech. And I believe it was probably a 7-minute and 45-second speech, which prevented you from winning any bling. Maybe want to bring it out, roll it out next year. Why don't we go around the room in person and on Zoom? Raise your hand if you have 1 or 2 suggestions for John, what you thought he did really well. An opportunity or 2 should he deliver this speech again. Don.
Can I clarify, Sam, was he within time?
Oh, yeah, I was.
Yes, he was.
Were both speakers in time?
Yes, they were.
Okay,
Okay, that's great. So
All right.
we're going to see a vote for the better speaker this evening. Beautiful, okay. So we're gonna vote even before hearing the critique of John.
I'm sorry, I just,
No, that's okay. We can vote if you like, vote early, vote often. Anyone with comments about John's speech? Okay, Shirley.
Yeah, I was kind of moved by it, but the only thing I could even say at all, and it's kind of difficult at this point in here, is he could move a little bit to the right or left. He was more like right in the middle. It's a little difficulty when we don't take the area that we can see here, but I was kind of moved when he was moved. I don't know whether you could see it from there, but
Yeah.
he teared up a little bit. And when he did that, I went, he must know these people. And I thought, oh, and then when he said it was their grandparents, I could see why he was moved. And I really, really loved this speech. I'm not going to say he was great, but he was outstanding. Learning a new word. Thank you, John.
All right. How about our online audience? What did you think about a speaker in this situation showing emotion? And how did that strike you? And what would you comment about? Kushee?
I definitely agree with what Shirley had to say about him moving and taking up more space, but I just absolutely love how he kept the revelation of how they were his grandparents till the end of the speech, because that does create like a surprise aspect, and attaching his emotions really it created a message of resignation. So when he got emotional, I also got emotional, and when he said that they were his grandparents, it was a big surprise factor to me. So I love how he situated and timed that particular revelation.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Kushee. I remember that one of the valuable pieces of information I got was when it came to writing your speech, it was suggested that begin with your ending. What do you want the audience to take away? And I remember 20 years ago, before I moved to New York and got rid of my moved to Florida and got rid of my New York accent, I had the opportunity to be a judge in the national speaking contest. And this is ABC students, and they competed in different levels. And it was a 4 or 5 minute speech, and this young lady talked about a farmer from Vietnam and all of the challenges he had. And she concluded that speech with a pause, which I was envious of. And she said, and that man is my father. And that was really a connection. So sharing how John made a connection tonight is a very powerful learning tool, I think, for all of us. Some of us have had great speeches or really good speeches and we liked them. Sometimes we said, oh, that didn't really hit the mark, and how could I be better? And that's one way. Don't be afraid to have a little bit of emotion. And so with that, I think this part of the timing has ended. And I know that Woodrow